Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be taking a look at the new codex for the Tyranids. We've had a good look at the data cards, we've unboxed and built the combat patrol, but now it's time to look at the Tyranids Codex for Warhammer 40,000. This is 129 pages, and it's going to have everything you need to run an army of Tyranids. So inside this book, you're going to find the history of the Tyranids. You're going to get a showcase of all the different miniatures and ways you can paint them for the various hive fleets. You'll get all the data sheets for the different models that you can have in your army. And then it also says some additional synapse-based army-wide rules and crusade section as well, so you can take your Tyranids to devour the worlds that lay before them with tooth and claw. On the back we get a nice picture of an army in action there, and this book is full of great images. I've spent a good few hours going through this and looking at it all, and I've got to say it's a fantastic codex. I've really enjoyed looking at it, and there's still loads to learn from it. The cover is fantastic, brilliant artwork, and again this artwork runs really nicely through the book as well. And this is the artwork that they've also used on the data cards, so you can see they go together really well. So let's get started. We'll go through the book. I'm not going to go in a huge amount of detail on the different data sheets and things like that. This is really a flick through review to give you a good idea about what's included in the codex, and then hopefully that'll help you decide whether or not you'd like to add this to your collection. Okay, let's get started. So here we go. So we've got our context page starting on number 2, and this is going to tell us everything that's included in the book. So we're going to get the Tyranids, go through all the background and lore in this section, get a showcase, then we move on to the rules section, and this will go through Battleforge rules, army, match play, crusade, data sheets, and then finally we'll look at the war gear, points, and the rules reference. There's some great reading to be had in this book, right through from the introduction, and some fantastic images like this one here. The art in this book is great. I really love it. And since I built the Combat Patrol and also the Tervagon and the Tyrannofex, I'm really into the Tyranids. My boy loves it too, and so I can't wait to get them painted and take them into battle. So yeah, we're going to learn about the Great Devourer, First Contact, the Hive Fleets, an introduction to them, the Shadow in the Warp, and then you're going to start looking at the different hive fleets, starting with Behemoth, the First Tyrannic War, the Invasion Swarms, the Living Arsenal. This is a really nice section, so if you're not sure about which weapons match up to the models from the Combat Patrol, then you can look in here and this will tell you exactly which weapon is which. And so I've gone for flesh bearers on the termagants, and that's going to be really awesome. Some great stats for that, which we'll see later on. I'll pick out some of the data sheets for the models that are in the Combat Patrol, and we can have a look at those in a bit more detail. Then it's got the melee weapons as well, and the Bone Mace and Spore Mines too. Then we're learning about Kraken, the Second Tyrannic War. And this is a nice bit, the Tyranid Genus Study, a report done by the Imperium as to what the Tyranids are and what they're up to. And then a bit more reading we can get stuck into before moving on to the Third Tyrannic War, the Leviathan. And then we've got the Hive Fleets of Gorgon, Jormungandr, Kronos, that's who I'm drawn to at the moment. Also got Hydra, Tiamat, Ouroboros. And then we move on to some great images here in the Predatory Panoply, where you can see the different paintwork for the different models from those different hive fleets. Now, you don't have to paint them to match the hive fleets if you don't want to. You can paint them however you like. But if you wanted to stick to it exactly as it goes through in the book, then this will tell you the colour scheme for each of those hive fleets. And now we're on to some really nice imagery. I mean, right from here, we're going to see some great photos of battles and the armies put together in these different hive fleet colours. And I just love it. I think it's so good. These big pages of like photos and the close-ups of the different units, I think is really great. These colours look fantastic, but my son wants me to do it this colour, so which is handy because I've got all the references on the box for this and loads in this book as well. So we're going to go with this colour for our Tyranid army. This is a great one. You can see just a huge army swarming through this city. Really cool. So you're going to find loads of great images. This is probably one of the better ones. These double spread armies, I think Games Workshop do so well. And if you're into the White Dwarf, you'll see loads of that. But when you get them in this nice quality paper for the codexes, I think these double page spreads are fantastic. And now we're on to the rules. And over the next few pages, you're going to see the Battleforge rules, army rules, match play, crusade, all the data sheets, war gear points, and a reference as well. It has a little introduction to the combat patrol. So if you have just picked up this box set, or if you haven't yet, check out my video where you can see it unboxed and built with all the weapon options. Then you could find out how to get started with a combat patrol of Tyranids, and then the detachment abilities. And then it talks about hive fleets. So we're going to see all the different hive fleets now, and whichever one you choose, you can have hive fleet adaptations, warlord traits, psychic powers, bio-artifact relics, and stratagems. So there's going to be stratagems that they can all use, but there's going to be specific ones for each hive fleet. So with Behemoth here, the specific stratagem for that hive fleet is unparalleled ferocity, and you can see it's going to get a psychic power of its own, a relic, it's going to get the hyper adaptation, and it's going to get this one here, the hive fleet adaptation as well. So it's going to get all these things unique to that specific hive fleet, and it also tells us what to do when we take the warlord in as well. We've got our warlord trait, and that's going to repeat for each of the different hive fleets, so you can choose one that suits your type of gameplay the best. And then as we flick through, you see there's lots to look through, so loads of good reading. You're not going to have to learn all the rules for all these because you're only going to choose one hive fleet, but of course you can do one battle as one hive fleet, and then when you do another battle, you can always change it and do the rules from another one, and then play around with it, experiment, see what you like the best. And then we're on to Cronus and Hydra. So for a shooting army, I think this one is pretty good, and that's the one I'm going to be looking at for the ranged attacks here. You get some buffs and things like that. And then we're on to infinite biomorphologies. If you don't choose a hive fleet from the ones that were featured here in the book, then you can create a splinter fleet, and it tells you how to do that on this page where you can choose from these biomorphologies here. Then once we've done that, we can move on to the stratagems that you can use on all the different hive fleets. So these are going to be all your different types. You've got battle tactic stratagems in blue, epic deed stratagems in this brown colour, requisition stratagems in the red, and the green is going to give you your strategic ploy stratagems, and then you're going to also get this grey blue, which is going to be your war gear stratagems. And all of those, as well as the ones for the hive fleets, can be found in the data cards for the Tyranids as well. And I did a video of that earlier if you want to check that out and have a good look at them. You don't need the cards because everything's in here, but it just saves you going back to the book. You can take the cards you think you're going to play in the game and have them ready, and I think it's just a nice addition. If you're going to invest in the army and play them a lot, then I can certainly recommend getting those cards. Now we're on to adaptive physiologies, and that's going to be for your Battleforge rules too. You've got your warlord traits, your hive mind discipline, and this goes into the relics as well. So you've got all the different relics to choose from. And then finally on to chapter approved rules, and another great piece of art here. This is fantastic in that nice colour with that purple. It just looks really great. Now we're on to the crusade rules, and this section is going to give you additional rules for playing crusade battles with the Tyranids, and it's going to have agendas, battle traits and crusade relics amongst other things in it. So lots to read through here if you're into playing the crusades. And then you've got all the different rules going through. So yeah, lots to look at here. Agendas, requisitions, battle traits, battle scars, psychic fortitudes, your crusade relics, and then this just got a little bit of info there about a crusade army from the Warhammer community team. All this multicolour just shows you how crazy you can go with the colour scheme. You really don't have to go with anything that matches the ones we've seen previously, although my preference is to go with something a bit more down the purpley route rather than all this multicoloured. But if you want something crazy and wacky like this, then you can certainly do it. So that's a good example of what you can do. Now we're on to the datasheet section, and so we can go through all the weapon profiles and abilities. And there's also this new thing here called Synaptic Link Range, and it's got some great examples here to read through, familiarize yourself with. It'd probably be good to try this out, I think, on the table with the different units, because it shows you how they overlap and how you can use that in the game for certain abilities. So I need to spend some time going over that for sure. But yeah, really interesting feature in this new codex. And now we're on to Synaptic Imperative abilities. Now you're going to get these cards in the data card set as well. And so each one of the units that are listed here are going to get one of these extra abilities too. So make a note of that when you get choosing your units and building your army. So I've gone for the Winged Hive Tyrant actually from that Combat Patrol set. Fantastic stats. I mean, it's just great. Huge movement 16, and it can fly. And then you can see here the weapon skill and ballistic skill, both 2+, strength 7, toughness 7, 12 wounds, 5 attacks, leadership 10, and saving on a 3+. And this is already going to come with a monstrous bone sword, prehensile pincer tail, tyrant talons, and a lash whip. And I've swapped mine to give it the gun, so I've gone for the heavy venom cannon. I think this is awesome. It's heavy 3, 36 hits range, strength 9, -3 AP, and it's going to cause 4 damage. So that's insane. And then if you add some adrenal glands and some other bits on there, like the toxin sacs, you're going to get some more buffs to some of these stats too. The Winged Hive Tyrant has got this great ability called Death from Above, and during deployment you can set this model up in the sky instead of on the battlefield. And if you do so, during the reinforcement step of one of your movement phases, you can set up this model anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from enemy models, and until the end of the turn you can re-roll charge rolls made for the model. So that's going to be really fun to play into. So that's awesome. I really like that ability for the Winged Hive Tyrant. So I definitely picked that one. But you could have built the model as a regular Hive Tyrant or the Swarm Lord. So I went for one that could fly and shoot over something like a melee version, which is the Swarm Lord. So again, whatever your style of play is, you can decide which one to build and use. And as we work through, we've got some really great data sheets here, some really powerful models, and really take some time to look through this. I've built the Tervigon as well from one of the sets, the Tyrannofex set. This is awesome. This is really cool. She can once per battle spawn 10 more Termagants. So that's a really great ability, and she can also use them as a wall of flesh if they meet the conditions here. So this is fantastic, and her weapons are insane, including these crushing claws. If you get close to her, they're going to be strength 14, -5 AP, and dealing D3 +3 damage. So that's crazy. I built her with those crushing claws because they're just fantastic. Then we got the Trigon Prime, Old One Eye, the Tyranid Warriors that you also get in the Combat Patrol box. Termagants you're going to get in Combat Patrol, so they're going to be shooting. I've gone for Flesh Borers, Assault 1, Strength 5, -1 AP, causing 1 damage with an 18-inch range. And then with some of the buffs from the Hive Fleet, you can extend that range as well, which is really useful, and get some other buffs to that too. Some Hormagants, you might want to add some of those if you want something swarming that's more focused on the melee. I really like the Termagants though, so I'm glad they included that in the Combat Patrol. You've got some Winged Gargoyles there, Toxicrene, Tyrant Guard, Lictor, Death Leaper, Mal's Scepter. That's a fantastic looking model. How cool is that one? I'd really like to get that at some point, but not for a while. Then we've got Pyrovores, Horospecs, Venomthropes, Zonethropes, which I believe you build from the same kit, is it, with these? Or I might be wrong actually about that. And then we've got Gene Stealers, Raveners, Ripper Swarms. You get a Ripper Swarm in the Combat Patrol too, so that's included. Parasite of Mortrex, that new model we've seen a lot about on the channel. And then also Morlock, the Trigon, Muckolid Spores, or Mucolid, must be Mucolid Spores. And then Spore Mines, Exocrine Biovores, Carnifex, I built one of those too. This has got a lot going on. That's a whole page of information there. Look at all those war gear options. It's really awesome. Then we've got Screamer Killers, Thornbacks, Hive Guard, Tyrannofex. Actually, it's the Tyrannofex I built. What am I saying? I didn't build the Carnifex. No, it was the Tyrannofex. And this guy has got the Flesh Borer Hive of the Salt 30, or the Rupture Cannon, which I put on there. 48 inch, so he's going to get right across the battlefield. Heavy 3, 14 strength, -4, and then the damage is d6 +4. That's insane, that weapon. So yeah, I built the Tyrannifex. Then we got the Tyrannocyte and the Hive Crone, the Harpy and the Sporocyst, and that's it. So a lot of units to choose from, tons of models here, and just so much fun reading to be had to pick out which models you like, which ones will suit your style of play, and what ones you'd like to see in your army. Now on page 122 starts the weapon profile, so this is going to give you all the information for those weapons. And this is what I really like about the Codex is you have your points values for all the different units. It tells you what you can add on for the war gear, how many points it's going to cost, and then it tells you which page that unit's on as well. So that makes it really easy to go back and forth from here, and I really like how they've laid that out. That's really good. And then here it's got the adaptive physiologies as well, again telling you the pages and the point values. So yeah, this is a really nice part of these books. Then we've got a glossary, a reference at the end, and then to finish off, nice piece of artwork that rounds up a fantastic book. And if you buy the book, you can use this code to unlock the content on the Warhammer 40,000 app as well. So there we go. So that's the end of the Codex for the Tyranids. And I've got to say, it's a great looking book. I love the artwork, I love the photography, and for the units I've got, the data cards are just fantastic. So if you've got the Tyranid army already and you're looking at getting this, I can certainly recommend picking it up to have the actual book rather than getting all your information online. It's really nice to have, and it's really well done and well laid out. I'll put some links down below to Element Games and Wayland Games where you can pick this up, save yourself up to 20% with those links too, and you also support the channel as I get a small commission for every sale made. So if you do decide to buy the book through those links, thanks so much, I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've had an awesome time going through the Codex, building the combat patrol, and looking through the cards as well. And all three of these videos are now up on the channel if you want to check them out. Obviously you're watching this one, but if you want to go and watch these, they're available too. So thanks so much for watching. Please like if you did like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'd like to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters who make these daily videos possible, and if you're interested in joining the community, it'd be awesome to see you there, and I'll put a link for that in the description down below.